Hello viewers, welcome to the program Inspire Children Imprinting Generations. It's that time of the week that we sit and we talk about things that contribute to the lives of our children, our boys, our girls in the homes. Remember, we desire that every child should thrive. Thriving of a child depends on many factors, and today we are talking about one of those factors that do affect the growth and development of our girl child. We have today in the house to help us to detangle, to untangle, to discuss, and to bring more information into your home. We've got an expert in healthcare, someone who is so passionate about the girl child and empowering them as it relates to their menstrual life cycle. Today on the program, we want to welcome Paida. Welcome to the program, Paida.
Thank you very much, Memory, and thank you for having me on the show.
It's good to have you. You know, I'm so excited. I love talking to people who are passionate about a certain area.
Yes.
It makes the conversation easy. And so today we want to talk about something that is close to your heart and something that you're pursuing as a person, as an entrepreneur. So we want to talk about the menstrual life, menstrual cycle. I don't know whatever term we can talk about it. So just to give us an overview, just so that our viewers understand, just give us a general overview about issues around the menstrual cycle, menstrual health in women, probably in young girls, and so that it really helps us as we start this conversation.
Oh, thank you so much, Memory. My understanding, both from an educational perspective and as a woman about menstrual cycle, is that menstrual cycle happens when the uterus does not receive a fertilized egg.
Yeah.
So when there is a fertilized egg, that's when you get pregnant. So if you're not pregnant, then that's when we start talking about the menstrual cycle. Menstrual cycle, according to our statistics, our children start having that maybe from the ages of 13 to 16 years of age, but they're affected with so many things, which can be your socio-economic environment, your hormones, your genetics, your health lifestyle, the level of stress that you have. So they all come into play when we're talking about the menstrual cycle.
Yeah. So why is it important for us to have a discussion like this, especially with our teenagers, as they begin to transition from, you know, being pre-teens and now they're getting into this stage? Why is this conversation so critical and so important?
I think it is very important for us to have this discussion. Why? Because of the stigma around menstruation, where it becomes something that is said to talk about, something that is embarrassing, and even when you have an accident, you find that our boy children are laughing at our girl children. So we want to empower children to know that when you're having your menstrual cycle, it is a normal thing that you have to go through, and it is important to track your cycle. Why? Because it then helps us to understand your health, especially if you then have problems in the future, and the type of contraceptives that you can have. So if there's something that is abnormal, if you're not tracking it, you will not be able to pick it up. And it also helps us to track our cycle, that we don't miss out on school. We are not absent because it is now coming as a surprise. But if you know your cycle, you know your days, you're prepared, you have your pads, you have everything that you need. If you have period cramps, you're taking your pain stop, or you're taking your warm water with salt, depending on what is accessible to you. So it is a very important discussion because it affects the well-being of our girl child. It affects their performance, it affects their confidence. So it is critical for us to have an open discussion, not just with the girl child, but with the boy child as well.
So that they become part of the community that is supportive to our girls and young women.
Correct.
So what are the phases that we can talk about when you talk about the menstrual cycle?
Going back to my books,
Let's go back
where
to the
we
books.
start with the menstrual cycle, starts with the cycle of a day to 5 days. Some have a longer period. So it depends on your genetics probably, or your diet, how you're eating. That also affects our menstrual cycle. So when we have our menstrual cycle, we go through a lot of hormones. Some get acne, some get moody, some get hungry, some get hangry. So it depends with the different emotion that we all go through. Some lose their appetite. So for the menstrual cycle, when it happens, the uterus then thickens up because of the estrogen that is now released into the body now to build up the wall again. So the wall then thickens up. as it is now preparing for that fertilized egg that wants to come in. So, and then after that we go on to our ovulation. Our ovulation period is usually halfway of our menstrual cycle. And when the ovulation happens, that is when the egg is released into the body, into the uterus, in preparation for the sperm to come and fertilize the egg. And if that doesn't happen, the womb, the lining then weakens. And when it weakens, the wall then becomes dead cells. And then we go back into our cycle. So it's like a repeated cycle of stages that we go through. But as we are going through those stages, we're also going through different emotions. So you find that some have severe period cramps. They cannot work. They cannot go to school. They cannot do any household chores.
So what is the Shona word usually used when girls go through those cramps?
It's called Jeko. Jeko Nechishona. And they say it's transferable. If I wear your clothes, maybe. According to our culture, they say it's transferable. I don't know how far true it is. But there's also the medical aspect of it, that your body is going through so much changes. So it is trying to fight that. And now you have your period cramps. Or you're not warm enough, you have your period cramps. Some drink tea, some drink herbal teas, herbal medicines, which help with the pain. But it can be so severe.
So I want you to go back to something that you've mentioned, because we really want to also speak so much to our young girls as they are growing up. Why I remember when we were growing up, fortunate enough, our grandparents were there, and you know, there were critical conversations that were done in with the young girls. What is it that people really need to talk about? What I want you to bring out is how important this conversation is also in terms of preventing teenage pregnancies. How important this conversation is important in terms of preparing our young girls in how to take care of themselves.
Correct. Thank you. I think when I was in primary school, we were told that we go through puberty, and that puberty, your body changes, and then maybe you may have a menstrual cycle at a certain stage. But we were not told of what this cycle is in detail. For example, that you're going to be bleeding, there's going to be blood. So when it came, maybe for me, it was a shock to say, what is happening? You see, so I think it needs now, I think the syllabus has changed. I've seen through my daughter's schoolwork, they try to go into detail about it so that you're prepared for it. But over and above the educational system, we as parents also need to have a sit down with our children to inform them of what this cycle really means, and not just a cycle, but how threatening it can be. Because we have had cases where we have child pregnancies. We have children that are 13 years old that fall pregnant because they were not aware that if I now sleep with a boy, I might get pregnant. Or if I sleep with a man, I might get pregnant. And besides, you can't be sleeping with men because you're underage. Imagine a 13-year-old with a child.
Or even less. We have heard less ages than that.
You see, and also to tell the boys as well, because they may not be aware that they can father a child when those changes start. So you find, like what you're saying, it's a minor, maybe they slept with a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old, and is a father at 14. He does not even know what that means. Yes. So we need to have that discussion. That conversation should cut across, not only to the girl child, but to the boy child, to protect them and to protect their sisters, to be their sisters' keepers.
Sisters' keepers. Thank you so much for that, for sure. We'll come back to this discussion soon after the break. Viewers, don't go away. We are talking about a very critical topic. Welcome back, viewers, to the program. Today we're talking about the menstrual aspect, menstrual health in our children and in our teenagers. Thank you so much, Paida, for the information that you are just sharing with us, sharing with our viewers, and sharing with the nations. I want you to talk more about now, what are some of the challenges that that people encounter, children encounter, families encounter during this phase where we have got commencing of the menstrual cycle and also the management part.
Okay, thank you so much. I think the main issue that we have is lack of resources, which we call period poverty. Our children do not have the resources to carry on during their menstrual cycles. The resources may be scarce where they have to travel a long distance to the nearest shopping center, or it may be financial constraints where the parents cannot afford, and they've been using things that are very sad even to talk about, where we are hearing that they're talking, they're using pumpkin leaves. Pumpkin leaves, they're not even comfortable, but that's what they have at their disposal. They're also using avocado leaves, banana leaves. One of my peers told me they went to an area where children were saying they're using chimunya. Chimunya, because it's solid, they think that it will seep through and it will hold. But once they're using those unorthodox methods, then we now have issues where there is now infections. The sadza will now have molds or whatever, and this is going inside someone's body. You can imagine that. If you're using leaves from out there, it's got dust, it's got insects, it's got all sorts of things, and someone is using that. And that is the worst case scenario. And others don't even go to school because they can't. They have to miss school. They have to miss school for the rest of their 4-5 day cycle. And that is what the danger is. And also, I think the stigma that we face, and people laugh.
That has to change.
Yes, that has to change. I was listening to one radio program where a gentleman said someone did mess their clothing, and he was trying to tell her that, look, but she was so defensive. She thought he was coming after her, luring her, or, and he was quite adamant. He says, I followed and said, here's my jacket, your dress, you have messed up your dress. And that's a few men that can do that, and that's the message that we need to teach our boy children, to say, take care of your sister. It may be your mother, your aunt, whoever you meet. Yes, don't laugh at them. And when they miss school, don't be too intrusive to say, oh, it's that time of the year. I was in boarding school. We had a few girls that would have severe cramps, and boys knew. They would say, oh, she's not here, it's that time of the month, and they'll laugh about it. So I think it's time we do not laugh. It's not a laughing matter. It's not by choice that we women have to go through that.
And it's a special thing.
It is.
It contributes to everyone that is around.
Yes, eventually, yes.
Directly.
But for our children, the message should be correct. Let's support each other. Even for the teachers, they should not be hard on the students that are going through the menstrual cycle. Even if it's at home, we should help out. She's not feeling well, she's got back pain, she's vomiting, she's weak. So I think even the amount of chores that we give them, we should also be mindful of that.
Oh yes. I just loved what you said when our children have to come from that space where they talk about, everyone is shouting aspoila pachikoro, and because it contributes also to the esteem of the girls. It contributes to the confidence and the self-worth of the girls within the school. And so Paida, what are some of the products that now we've talked about the challenges that are there? What are the products that are available to help our daughters, to help we young women sail through the phase of the menstrual cycle?
Oh, thank you so much. I brought a few products that I wanted to share with you, but I'll explain the others that I don't have at my disposal at the moment. I would start maybe with cotton wool. It's quite affordable to those that have the means to have that. You can use your cotton wool, you wrap it around nicely, but you have to change it. For example, if you have a heavy flow, then it means every hour or 2 hours you're going to the ladies to check yourself. Or you can ask a colleague to say, when I stand up, can you check me? We always used to do that in school, or even at work, we still do that. So you can use cotton wool at your disposal. If you don't have cotton wool, there's also the reusable pads that I have here. These reusable pads, you can have them throughout your period. This is the cotton wool, the cotton fabric that we have, and inside there's also a toweling fabric that helps to soak up the blood. And right here, it's also waterproof. So this is quite friendly, it's user friendly, it's economical, it's also affordable. And once you finish your period, you can wash it. You soak it in water, make sure you wash it with clean water and soap. And you dry it out in a special place. If it's windy, you can put maybe your Zambia or light fabric on top just to cover it. And then you can use this. I think for girls, they need maybe 4. And this will last you for the next 2 years. And this can also help, especially with the children that are in the rural areas, children that are less fortunate, that cannot afford other means of menstrual. This is now a disposable pad. I'm going to open it so that the viewers can see. This is what we have here. It's a disposable pad, and this is like the most common product that we have. The most common product in the market, and it's affordable, but it's a recurring cost, because for a pack of 8, we're talking about $1.50, depending on the product that you're using. So you can untie there, and then you put it on your underwear, and then you use it. This also sticks there, but you cannot keep this for more than 4 hours. I know they say you can keep it for up to 8 hours, but it will not be comfortable for you to have it for that long. So you have to check yourself and also remove it after every 2 to 4 hours. I will not go into tampons and all that, because I don't think we encourage that for the little girls. But for when they're doing sport, if they consult with their health practitioner, then they can advise them on what they can use for sports and swimming, so that they don't also miss out on those activities.
Wow. No, thank you so much. This is very important and very informative. So, Paida, how then can communities support our children? Is there something that our Zimbabwean community needs to do? Because I know we have talked about some of the challenges, especially in remote areas, where we have now our children missing out on school, and it affects their educational outcomes. What would be your words of advice? What do we need to do as a community, as a society, to support this journey and to make it lighter and easy?
I would say that the corporate world is the one that I would like to talk to, because they have the power to empower the next generation, to empower girl children. They do CSR programs. So why not adopt a school, adopt a child, and say, we will cater for this child's menstrual cycle, menstrual needs. And when we're talking about menstrual needs, it's not just the sanitary wear. We also need soap. We need lotions, we need roll-ons to feel fresh and confident, because during that time of the month, we feel less confident of ourselves. You may think that when you walk in the room, everyone knows that you're on your period, but it's not supposed to be that way. So they need to gain confidence, and going out there into the rural areas when we do our outreach programs, communicate and educate the children on how best they can handle themselves. And also the health, I think the Ministry of Health has got outreach programs that they also do, but we can always support the work that they're doing. Not just for the girl child, but for the boys as well. Educating them so that we take away the stigma. I know even in some churches they say you're unclean, you cannot perform certain duties, you cannot stand before certain people, you cannot serve food in certain cultures, because they think you're unclean. But it's not that way. It's a biological phenomenon that we cannot run away from. So it's time that we embrace this, and we take away the culture to be isolating our children when they are during their periods.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you so much for that, Paida. I think those are very important things that you're highlighting, that the whole community, all of us, we need to be part of this journey. All of us, we need to make every girl and every young woman feel special, even when they're going through their menses. There's nothing that changes in them. So we'll come back and discuss more and conclude this discussion. Viewers, do not go away. Thank you for joining us. We are continuing on talking about menstrual health. Welcome back to the program, viewers. We are talking about menstrual health. So, Paida, let's talk about, we have children that are living with their fathers only. We have children that have lost their mothers, and there are no women around them. I want you to talk about how best can people start that conversation, and how best can they have a preparation before probably our daughter is not yet commenced on their menses. What are some of the tips that you can give them, what they need to prepare, what they need to do beforehand, and also who can assist in this conversation journey?
All right. I want to refer to a friend of mine. He was a colleague when we were working together, and he was a single father to a girl child. And we used to talk a lot. And then I asked him about the period, and I said, what will happen when she starts going? And he says, I already have pegged it. And that is one in a million fathers that I've met who are that confident about their children and are open about that discussion. So I think for fathers that are single parenting, you should be your daughter's best friend. She must not be scared to tell you anything, because that's where now abuse also comes in. If she's getting abused there, she's going to be scared to come to her dad and say, Dad, this is what happened. But you have an open relationship with your children. You say, sit down, I want to discuss this with you, and even have someone that they're comfortable with within the room to discuss these issues, because when it happens, that person may not be there and you have your father there. So it's important for fathers to have that communication, and for the fathers to be empowered with the information on what to do when their children start their periods. The other thing I would also recommend is, in societies takakura chinzi munhu wese is your father, munhu wese is your mother. You respect every elder. So even in your neighbors, you can have a neighbor that you trust and say, okay, I would like you to have this discussion with my children. Or tete, you bring them to their tete, or the tete comes home, or your sisters can come and help. The other thing that I think is important is to have a period kit. So you find that other people react to different products. So these disposable pads may come from different companies. So you may find X works for you, Y doesn't. Or the thickness in Y doesn't work, maybe the thickness in Z works better. So you need to maybe put, because we have the small, medium, large, or heavy, light, overnight flow. So you can also pack that accordingly, maybe 3 different packs for your child. You get the medium, the small, the large ones, different products. You also bring in the cotton on the side, teach them how to use it, and also maybe an extra panty in there, because when they're starting, there can be accidents. So you don't want your child to be stuck at school, or you're being called at school to say, come and get your child, your daughter, they need you, because they don't have that. So just have that handy. And like I said before, they start from around age 13. Others start earlier. Some start at 10, some at 9. So I think from that age going on, just have a handy pack in there. Which also brings me to something that I also wanted to discuss about, which may be a movement that we need to go for as women. You find that if I am using the reusable pads, there's no space or privacy for me to wash it. It means I have to carry it like this for the rest of the day, and I may not be comfortable doing that. So if we can have a separate washroom, like we have for people with physical disabilities, let's have a separate cubicle for when you're on your period, that you can go in and have all the privacy that you need. There's a disposable bin. There's a small shower cubicle or hand basin. If I need to shower quickly, I can do that. If I need to just do the wash my hands or wash the reusable pad, where no one is looking at me and going, what is she doing over there? So it's something that we need as women, just to be comfortable. I know other schools do swimming, so there are shower cubicles. One can go there.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Faida, for that. I believe the things you are saying are very critical, and this will build the confidence of our young girls and young women. So, just the last words that we have for a teenage girl, someone who has just commenced their menses, they're anxious about it, anxious about managing. What would be your last words of advice?
I would say you should stay calm. Don't panic. Don't think it's the end of the world. Some panic a lot and they lose their self-esteem. They lose their confidence. They don't want to talk about it. They want to hide it. Just talk to someone. Speak to an adult, an older sister, your teacher, your mother, or even the maid. Some are closer to their maids. Talk to them and say, this has happened. And if you have your kit nearby, you can use it. If you don't, they will help you to get that.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. It got me thinking, do we have certain things that people need to get worried about, or they really need to see a doctor?
So you need to check that by writing it in your diary, saying, okay, fine, today my flow is like this. Is it heavy? Is it mild? What is the color? Are there any lumps? So if you find lumps, which we call clots, that's really, really a cause for concern, especially in children, because they cannot be having clots. Yes, and it can be smelly sometimes, or it may not have an odor at all. So, but the minute you see lumps or clots on your blood, then you need to tell someone about it, because that is not right. So the color is like pink. There's a pink and a bright red, which is like the normal red, or a dark pink. And then when you now see that it's now dark red or it's now black, then that's a real cause for concern that needs to be taken care of.
Thank you so much, Paida, for coming through to Inspire Children. I believe the information you have shared is very important. It's something that is common, but sometimes rarely talked about.
Correct.
Thank you so much for coming, and we wish you well as you continue to empower young girls through providing menstrual health education. Viewers, thank you for joining us, and Paida was with us in the studio today, and she's just saying just one simple thing. It's normal to go on your menstrual cycle. Menstrual health care is very important. It's important to take care of yourselves. Adults, let's support our children. Let's encourage them. Let's be there with them. Going on a period should not be the reason for someone to lose their confidence, to lose their educational outcomes. It should not be a reason for someone to look down upon themselves. And indeed, the boys, let's be our sister's keeper. Thank you for joining us. See you again next time.